Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I feel so honored and privileged to have this powerful man in the house with me as we celebrate my Mental Health Matters Facebook group turning one. So, this is an exciting moment for me, and I hope that you will all join, listen, watch, and learn and get enlightened as I am looking forward to being. So I'm going to let all the speakers introduce themselves when they go on to answer our first question. But I want to tell you all that the people in the house on this panel with me today, they have impacted my life in significant and positive ways. I have my Reverend, he will be joining us very soon. Even before I started this group, he prayed for me. So, and he has always been like a father to me up until now. I have my very, very first boss, Mr. Niyo Jolakwe. When you hear me talk about due diligence, he hammered that into my skull. Like you just have to do your due diligence, follow up, and I have learned a lot from him. I have Chief Ladipo. When it comes to politics and anything military, I am not even afraid to show my ignorance, and he has always been there for me. And I even know him on a much more personal level. He has been a guide, a father, and a very, very resourceful person to me. Now, Barrister David, I met him through Chief Ladipo. And when it comes to anything legal, I go to his page to read up. And when I need help, he is always there to just guide me. Now, I talk about mental health, that is my thing. But it is obvious that that is not the only thing that my life is about. I need people. And these people that are on the panel with me, they are awesome. They've been resourceful and they are here to bring their expertise and perspective uh, to relate it to mental health. So you don't want to get distracted. Please pay attention. Please invite people. Please share this and let more people learn from us. And there we go. So uh, welcome everyone. Let me start by welcoming Barrister David. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Adeyemo.
Chief Ladipo, you're very welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Adeyemo, my sister.
My boss, Mr. Niyo Jolakwe, you're welcome, sir. Okay, so now my first question will be this. Sir, I'll start with you, sir, Chief Ladipo. I will start by saying I've learned a lot from you, and you have been one of the most active members of the group. So I want to ask everyone, what maybe one thing have you learned from my Mental Health Matters Facebook group as we're celebrating 1 year?
Yeah, once again, thank you for having me. Um, I learned a lot of things from your presentations, but one thing that sticks out, the overarching uh, knowledge that I gained from uh, your presentations is the fact that mental health illness, mental health illness is a serious matter. Mental health as a program as compared to other kinds of physical illnesses is a very serious matter. It's a matter that it's kind of illness that we don't see until it manifests in a way that prejudices perceptions of people. And it can really be fatal. So, what I've learned from your presentations is to have is to have newfound respect newfound understanding of what mental illness or mental health is about.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, so mental health and mental illnesses, I think one of the issues is that people miss them. They take one for the other. We all need to be mentally healthy. And for those who have one type or a form of mental illness or the other, they should not experience any hurdle when it comes to seeking treatment for those. So you made a very good point, sir, and that's just that's the main point. I'm glad that's what you've learned from mental health, from the group. So I'll move on to Barrister Digbite. What's one thing or two that you've learned from the group that people should know about?
Okay, I believe I heard you clearly. I think you want me to talk about what I've learned since I joined your group.
Yes,
where
sir.
you make, where you give out informative posts and messages from time to time. One thing that stand out from what I've learned from being a member of that group and listening to you in particular is communication. The way we communicate issues of mental health. Before I joined your group, I think I was somehow careless. There was a day I was commenting on one of your posts, and I was carelessly making use of the word mad, which is not acceptable in the world of mental health care. You don't say that. You have to be sensitive to the feelings of people having some mental health issues. That's one thing I've learned, to be more sensitive. And because lack of being sensitive can also amount to stigma or stigmatization of persons living with mental health issues. And again, I know that more believe that until when people go on the streets, that's when they have mental issues. Anybody can have mental challenges, and that is why we need to be much more conscious of our mental health. We need to reduce stress, and we need to reduce our worries. So listening to you and being a member of your group, and which I believe that is something that anybody needs to learn. Thank you.
Sir, thank you for that. That's a very powerful lesson. And even the last time we talked about this language and communication issue with mental health, and how the language we use can promote or make stigma worsen or deepen. Even in the mental, as a professional, we still keep learning how to use words that would encourage people and not keep increasing the stigma that we're trying to battle already. So I'm glad you got that and you shared it with us. Thank you, sir. Now, Mr. Neo Jolakwe, the same question, which is, what is one thing that, since you joined the group, you've learned from the group, sir?
Thank you. Thank you very, very, very much, Mrs. Adeyemo. I hope you are hearing me now. Now, when we started, it wasn't so straightforward. Before I mention that one thing, let me express, I can't express it well enough, how very, very proud I am of you for putting this platform in place. And each time I come online and I see you coming with different, coming with the major thing that I've learned, apart from the issue of recognizing the stigma that comes with the issues of mental health and how we shouldn't actually see it that way. That's one thing that I've learned, and I can see that we've talked about it. Really, one major thing that I've learned is how to see the growth and development of children from the mental health perspective. There are certain things that you have taught us that have told us that, okay, when you see a child behave in this manner or do this and that, this is likely what is happening. This is what we should watch out for. It has impacted me greatly, and it has made me much more, not overtly sensitive, but much more alert to the things that are happening around me concerning mental health, especially as children are growing up. Thank you. Over.
Thank you very much, sir. So that's I'm so happy that you all brought out like the pillars of the essence of this group, which is mental health is not just for adults. Mental health is something that is across lifespan, from pregnancy phase and even in children all the way to our elderly people. We all need mental health. We all deserve to be mentally healthy, and we all should be supported to seek mental mental illness treatment for any mental illness that we might be facing. So thank you for bringing that up as well. So I am very, very happy. Thank you. I feel like after teaching in a class, you're like, okay, students, what did we learn? And I'm able to get feedback. So thank you so much. I'm happy and honored. So now I have a panel of men here, and it is on purpose. One of the issues that we have when it comes to mental health or mental illnesses is the fact that the access to care is not that prominent for men, and even the attitude of men to mental health is not, or mental health or seeking treatment for mental health is not that robust. So I would ask, as a man yourself, knowing, from what you know now, says, what do you think about mental health for men? What should men know out there? And even individually, what's your own attitude to mental health? I'll start with Chief Ladipo.
Okay. Once again, thank you for having me. Obviously, I'm here in part because of our, informal familial relationship, and because I am in the United States Army, where we've had issues of mental health. I want to put up front that the disclaimer that I'm not speaking for the United States Army, neither am I speaking for the U.S. military. Those two organizations have people that speak for them on all issues. But as a leader myself in the military, and as someone who has had numerous training that the military provides, and who has led soldiers and seen the impact of mental health and the illnesses that abound in it, I think I'm confident enough to talk about those issues. In the military, in the U.S. military, we have just about the same amount of access to treatment. So as men against women, we have the same access, we have the same training, so nobody is left behind. Even within services, the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, the National Guard, we all have the same access to treatment. Nobody is left behind. So I don't see the difference in our treatment in that regard. But I had a life before I joined the military, and I can tell you that until someone hits the street in our home country, until someone hits the street, as in mentally ill, people don't take them seriously. The signs are always there. The signs of mental illness, are always there. Unless you have the training, you don't recognize those signs until someone actually loses it, so to speak, and then the stigmatization comes in. So, but women in general, I think, because of issues of postpartum, this and that, women easily have access to it, and they're not ashamed, as men are, to own up to it. I mean, that's my perspective as a layman. You are the expert here, and you know how things are. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Ojolakwe, can you tell us why don't men seek mental health care, or why does mental health issues seem to take the backseat when it comes to men? What do you think?
Thank you very much. Let me also let me follow in the shoes of my general, even though he's not here as a general, Chief Ladipo. Let me follow in his shoes. Let me follow his example by issuing a disclaimer. We have an all-male panel here. It goes against the grain of my training and actually my vocation as a gender protagonist or gender activist, so to say. And then we have an all-male panel. But let me just mention that there is also another panel that is going to be made that is going to be all female. So there's a balance there. So this is deliberately to be just a male panel so that we can deal with these issues. So I just wanted to put that on the table for those who might be watching and who will not understand that this is not what this man stands for, because I will really not have anything that will not have male and female representation in equal terms. Now, to your question about the issue of mental health, I see, in simple terms, I see mental health as a state of health for the mind in a functioning body. And with my involvement with mental health matters, with my learning, I've found that it's one of the most important aspects of health that contributes to good health and well-being. And I've stepped back a little bit to say medical technology have actually taken care of so many things in terms of medicine, in terms of the health of people. So you can easily diagnose people by putting on a machine, and then you can diagnose the illness that people have. But when it comes to mental health, that contact between the professional and the person that is involved has to be there. And so there is really no construction, there is no heart really that will get this up. So that is just to say how important it is and how almost impossible it can be if it is left unattended to. It can really get so I take it that importantly. Now, as a man, I also believe that it involves having a balance of emotions such that I'm able to maintain cordial relationships and also develop new ones so that I can continue to function well in my job, in my line of duty, at an optimal level of productivity using my mental faculties. Now, one thing that I also think is very important is that within the context of what I do, because as I'm an husband, I'm a father, I'm a worker, I'm a pastor, I'm so many things. And in all of this, there is that maleness that comes across, and it is deep-seated within the patriarchal system in which I grew up. So everybody expects you to do everything. Everybody expects you to be macho. Everybody expects you to take charge at every point in time. And so it is within that I proceed the issues of the mental health that we want you to take care of. We want you to take care of issues and take it very, very importantly and seriously. And in relation to my work, to my everyday work, there is a nexus of mental health with issues that my organization deals with. we always intend to achieve what we call 3 zeros. That is 0 maternal mortality, 0 unmet needs for family planning, and 0 sexual and gender-based violence. So all of it right across this, there's issue of mental health there. That if all of this, if we don't take care of the mental health of the people that are involved, if we don't take it as a big issue, we will not be able to achieve those 3 zeros. So that's the way I take mental health, and it is from the background of seeing myself as a man who is supposed to either facilitate these things or act as the leader in a particular. So we need to begin to take the back space so that women can have their rightful place in the society. That is when we can have a mental health balance. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. So thank you, Mr. Jalakwe. You have again brought up the issue of gender balance. You're talking about women in the front seat, which is what you do. And I would like to speak to the fact that it's the presence of the care and the resources and the access and everything for women is there. And while we're working on this, for those who will be watching us and who are working with men too, I think that because the accessibility is not so prominent as we have for women, it does not mean that the mental health aspect of any man should take the backseat. I want to use this opportunity to welcome my Reverend Pastor Edward K. Alabi. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Dayo Adeyemo. Thank you for what you do. May the Lord bless you.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, sir. So I've asked a number of questions, and in a minute, I'll come back to you, sir, and I'll be asking about 2 questions in one with you. Okay. I think he's not here. So this is the point. Actually, I think I'll just ask you this question now, since Barrister is not here now. So in a minute, if you can tell us one thing. I'm also honored to have you in the group. One thing you've learned from the group when it comes to mental health and your perspective for mental health as a man. Thank you, sir.
Now, is that a question for me?
Yes, sir. It's a question for you. I'm sorry. I changed.
It's been a whole year of tutelage under your expertise on mental health issues and challenges, and I'm quite overwhelmed and well schooled, especially in the use of vocabularies, kind of languages that we use this side of the world. And so I have had my own, vocabularies on the subject matter refined about people who are mentally challenged, over and above looking at someone and telling them you are crazy, you are mad, or you are lunatic and stuff like that. And the various subjects that have been treated, like schizophrenia, like postpartum disorder, like PSTD, post-stress traumatic disorders, and a host of, issues that have been discussed in the last 1 year have been quite, fascinating, inspiring, and encouraging. Even though I am a pastor for several years, over 3 decades now, and I've been engaged in active pastoral care and counseling, and even an authority in counseling psychology, but not as deep as you have taken it. You make it easy for us to relate with people. You make it easy for us to be able to identify certain tidbits and vitals and signals that portend, that shows that something is wrong with individuals. So it's been a whole year of learning in this school of mental health, and it's a great privilege and a wonderful, opportunity to be in your group and to learn from you on a weekly basis.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, so as a man, is mental health your thing too? as a man?
Say that again.
I said, as a man, being a male, what's your perspective about mental health and the way society, view the mental health of a man?
Yeah, well, like I just said, our understanding, especially this part of the world, when somebody is mentally, challenged, we is already condemned. The idea of taking someone for mental checkup or mental attention in this side is like arrow. And you know what arrow means? Arrow mental, and things like that. There's a psychiatric hospital in an area called Aro Abeokuta, and it's when somebody manifests such a thing, it's like I'm Agbelos Aro, take him to Aro now, and things like that. So it's been a wrong orientation that is not culturally, but it's based on our etiquette, that the benchmark or standard of what is good, what is bad, what is wrong, what is right, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. So when we talk about mental health, we think of somebody who is mad, stark mad person with a baggage of loads, with dirty clothes, with bushy hair, somebody carrying a machete like a psychopath, rushing and running after people and chasing people around. Not really known that, an average person has a challenge. And every day we all relate with some of these. There is what we call 5 minutes mentality, or disorder that an average person manifests each time. So as a male person, I have come to accept the fact that, there is this, bit of imbalances that we have to face every day. And I have come to respect and appreciate that and be able to relate with people, much more effectively, recognizing the fact that when an average person manifests some sort of anger or emotion or certain catharsis, well, it might be as a result of, few challenges that are induced by either stress or workload or pressures or, challenges that they face on a daily basis.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So I'm happy to hear from my panelists that, you all agree and admit that men are also, as every other person living with a brain, we need to be mentally healthy, and we need to all take care of ourselves. So now we're going to get a bit technical now, and I'm going to start off with General Chief Ladipo with this question. And sir, I want you to speak from two perspectives, because you are a political leader. When it comes to anything politics, I go to your page, I call you, I ask questions, and you just make it very clear to me. You've helped me a lot. Now, political leaders are policy makers. They are the decisions they make, the things they put in place or that they decide not to pay attention to, it affects lives of millions of people. And so talking from that perspective, because and from the military perspective, maybe even in West Africa, so how does mental health really come into play? How does it affect politics in terms of political leaders? And how does political leaders also impact the promotion, maybe impact or impede the promotion of mental health? Can you speak to this, Chief Ladipo? You're muted, sir.
Yeah, thank you once again for having me, Pastor Alabi. Thank you for joining us. You see, the issue of mental health regarding our political leaders back in Nigeria, it's an open-ended one. It's really not just mental health; it's health in general, and I can speak to that from morning till night till evening. If we if the Western world is lagging behind in mental health as opposed to other kinds of uh, uh, care, how much more will our society back home, where regular care is lagging, how much more would or how worse would mental health be? Um, it's a shame that you go to many big cities in in Nigeria, and there are no facilities for mental health, specifically for mental health. The Reverend just talked about Abeokuta. That's probably the only place that everybody can think about in southwestern Nigeria that has all the facilities that you need to be taken care of there, and that's overwhelmed as well. There's Yaba as well, but I don't think it's as structured as Arrow is. I don't know of any such place in Ibadan. If there is one, it would be as big as Arrow, and Ibadan is the largest city in Black Africa. So you have our leaders, when we don't recognize that if someone is coming late to work every day, when we don't recognize that that could be a problem with that person, that is beyond traffic, so how do we take care of that person and show that person the way to care when there is no care available for that person? So but when you talk about the military, um, even here in the United States, there's the recognition that soldiers, service members, are more susceptible to aggravations that would lead to or that would trigger mental illness. And the same goes for our military in Nigeria, the same goes for military everywhere. So if you don't have the care available, um, then when you see a police officer stop somebody for traffic in Nigeria and they just shoot the person or just beat the person up, you don't know what's going on in the person's life. So but in our military, let me speak for us here. Soldiers everywhere live a regimented lifestyle. As I'm speaking to you, I can't keep my facial hair, in certain form. There's a length that my beard has to be. There's a length that my hair has to be. There's a way that I have to dress if I'm wearing particular clothes. There's a way I have to stand. I can't just stand and slouch. I can't just walk any kind of way. If I'm on a military installation, I can't have a phone in my hand, because somebody will meet me and salute me and I have to return the salute. There's a way I have to speak. I can't just talk any kind of way. So you have that regimented lifestyle, and then you go home and you have all these other issues that may trigger something in you where you've spent 12 hours at work, being alert all the time, and then now you have to go home and face other issues. So the army recognizes that, the military recognizes that. When I say the army, the military, I want you to take them interchangeably. The military recognizes that and trains us, those of us who are not even professionals, trains from the time that you're a small group leader, you are trained for the simple signs that you look for, in your subordinates. And then, your subordinates also look for things in you so that they can tell when you are going off the rail or some maybe that's not even a good phrase to use, going off the rail. We're talking about being politically correct here. So, there are steps that the government, that our government, is taking to mitigate, to help soldiers so that we don't let the stress and the stressors that we face to overcome us. But they do happen. Even before you join the military, you go through some kind of assessment, mental assessment. And because if you fail certain things, they'll never let you in. But people still get through, and they are mentally ill that they get through. And right at basic training or boot camp, things go off, and you have all these things that we're talking about. I want to share a couple of numbers for you because I don't know how much time we have. It doesn't speak well of our organization, but it is. We're not hiding it. It's they're bringing awareness to it so that these things can stop. Uh, the Department of Defense always does these studies on mental health, health in the services. In 2014, and between 2014 and now, it's just been going up. So in 2014, you have 1.8% of service members committing suicide. 1.8%. When you say 1.8%, I always look at, okay, a company of soldiers is 130 soldiers usually. So are you telling me that two people in the company are, killing themselves? That was in 2014. In 2017, it was also 2%, a little bit higher than 2014. 2018, higher than 2017. 2019, when we had COVID, now, we had a total of 498 soldiers that killed themselves in 2019 alone. So, and these are people that are getting paid every month. Nobody's been owed salaries or whatever, but the fact that, and they have access to treatment, the best in the whole world, it's still happening. So this is something that is ongoing. I want to stop right here and let and let others speak. But it's something that's very dear to me because when it happens, it's happened to it's happened to at least one or two soldiers that work for me, and it's happened to some of the people that I work alongside of them. It's happened to a guy I went to Iraq with, came back and killed himself in Germany. So when it happens like that, it takes a lot of toll on the team, because you start to wonder when it's your own turn, what's going to trigger it in you or your next buddy that's working alongside you. So it's one of the reasons why I know you said that I come to your show a lot. It's one of the reasons why I come to your show, because I like to get enough information to supplement what I get in the military so I can better help my soldiers. Sometimes I'm in bed when you come on, and I just leave it on and I listen to it as I go to sleep. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. You brought up a very, very sensitive issue, and one of the big issues in mental health world, which is suicide. And at some point we'll get back to that. Thank you for sharing the statistics as well. It brings a lot up. So, Mr. Neo Jolakwe, you are in the public health world. You deal with gender-based violence. You already, there's no time you talk that you've not spoken about women, that you've not talked about gender balance. So now, as a leader in the development world and with public health, what do you say about what you do, leading a lot of people in your own, in your field and your domain? How do you bring mental health into the picture? How do you make sure that mental health issue is properly integrated into the programs that you do and the people that you work with? Or how does mental health impact it as well, vice versa? You sir, Mr. Ojola.
Yeah, thank you very much. Once more, thanks for having me. Let me also say hello and welcome to Pastor Edward Alabi. I also happen to have my first name as Edward.
Edward, yes.
And that is also my father's name, and that's also my first son's name, Edward. So we are Edwards in this place. Before, when we were young, in school, we had a guy. His head was so big, so we called him Edward. So, and I think, and it was also because that guy also had mental health issues. So, I mean, that name goes together at that point in time. So, I'm very, very interested in the issues of mental health. And Mr. Adeyemo, you have actually also increased our understanding of what it means and what we need to do to make it, what we need to do to avoid issues of mental health, and also to increase mental health, the state of mental health and alertness. Now, I work in the area of what we generally call population and development. Population is about the people, and how to make the people get better. And somewhere under it is the issue of public health, and in particular also reproductive health. One part of it has to do with gender studies. But when you look at the issues of gender, many people don't really see what we do there. It's like, oh, these people are here again. They're just talking about how women are supposed to be disobeying their husbands and this and that. No, it's not that. There's a normative agenda of gender, which is to do everything to level the playing ground so that men and women can be able to, so that we can have parity and equality. That is the issue. Well, if that doesn't happen, sometimes it is not life-threatening. But there are certain other issues which we have to deal with in gender advocacy, which has to do with the lives of women. And one example is the issue of maternal health that I've talked about. And in my organization, in our vocation, what we try to do is to ensure, we will try to work for a situation whereby no life is lost in the entire spectrum of a woman conceiving, even before conceiving, all the way to giving birth and even thereafter. And it's a very, very delicate situation. So we work with women personally. I mean, so beyond just the normative agenda of trying to get gender equality in place and all of that, we work with women concerning their health, concerning their well-being. So it's actually a life-saving vocation. And apart from that is the issue of family planning, which of course in some of our clients has become has always been a controversial issue. But I don't see anything controversial there, because the essence of family planning is actually to save lives. When you say a woman should have child spacing, when we say oh, there is a young lady that is about getting pregnant, if we don't watch, it's because we know that our body, the physical body, is not yet well made enough. It's not yet strong enough to go through the rigors of pregnancy. So that's the essence of family planning. The third part, which we work at and which I think is very, very, very important, is the issue of sexual and gender-based violence and what we call harmful practices. In all of these, the harmful practices include things like child marriage. When somebody gives a 9-year-old girl to some man to go and be the man's wife, the person has mental health issues, even though we don't know. In our society, there are mental health issues that are actually ingrained there, that it is systemic. So you have to do something to break that cycle, or else it continues and people say, oh, it is our culture or it is our religion that's making it happen. No, we need to step back a bit and look at this thing. So some harmful practices are child marriage, which some people think is not a big deal. Then there is also harmful practices that include something like female genital mutilation. You want to begin to ask, what's your problem with a woman's genitals, that you want to cut the genital because of all of these reasons? So these are mental health issues, because you think the woman should not enjoy sex and all of that. So if you really step back, you see that you cannot divorce mental health from all this work that we do, because they are together. And so it also includes issue of teenage pregnancy and all of that. So all of this put together is that women's reproductive health needs improves their state of mental wellness. We're all aware of the fact that some women, at the point at which they give birth, after that they have these postpartum issues that arises out. It arises naturally out of. It doesn't have to be triggered by anything else. It's just by the process that the body has gone through, that process of childbirth, and then that also kicks in. So it is all together. There is no way that I'll be able to practice my vocation if I don't learn about mental health, and if we don't bear it in mind in designing responses. The last point that I'll just quickly make is the of gender-based violence. When a woman is raped, when an uncle right within the household, who is a trusted person that is in that house, sleeps with a girl that is in that house, it's usually incest. But it's not just incest. Incest is not even the issue. The issue is actually rape, because the age of consent is 16. A girl that is 16 years or below is not in a position to consent to sex. So if somebody cannot consent to sex and somebody has sex with that person, it is rape. So it is a criminal issue. And when you put all of that together, it goes to the point whereby, you see, it is a mental health issue, because the effect of what happens when a girl that is just growing up is introduced to sex too early and then begins to crave it and goes on, because they don't even know what is wrong with them. They don't even know what they should do at that time. Then somebody that is raped, we have let me just take just one more minute. We have just set up in Ghana what we call the Orange Support Center. That center is a place whereby you make a call, which is toll free, and we pick the call to say what is the problem. So if you have experienced any form of gender-based violence, either rape, incest, or domestic violence, beating, or what have you, we pick the call, we analyze, and then we find a way to support you. Most, and please note this, most of the support that we give, that we provide, and which we have had to give in our short experience in doing this, is psychosocial support. This person probably just needs somebody to talk to. This person probably just needs somebody to tell her, okay, this is what to do, this is what not to do, this is how to take care of yourself, and they get back to good health. If that is not available, the society will be plagued with mental health issues and the aftermath of them. You're muted.
Okay.
Yes, you are muted.
Okay, thank you, sir. I said you mentioned a lot of points that I think in months to come, I think in the coming year in our group, we're going to take all of these issues and really talk more about them. You talked about systemic issues, the systemic mental health issues. You talked about somebody being called Edward in school because the person has a big head and maybe some mental health issues. That is bullying. Okay, it's one of the things that a lot of our children are going through right now, bullying in school, and it might just be like, maybe it's not a big deal back then, but that's also a very important issue you raised. And rape, gender-based violence, all those things have very negative and lasting impact in a person's life, whether or not they're able to talk about it or express it. There are significant major life issues that should not be taken for granted. And at this point, I want to bring Reverend Alabi in. Sir, a lot of people would really like to hear and know more about religion and mental health. People, personally, I mean, my religion, my faith is one of my pillars as a human being. That, talking of psychosocial support, I have it. I did not even start this group without calling and asking that you put this program in God's hands with me and give me that spiritual guidance. That's how significant our faith is to most people, and particularly in West Africa and everybody generally. So, but it seemed like there's we have the issue of boundary, we have the issue of collaboration, we have the issue of we have so many issues when it comes to religion and mental health. So I want you to speak to this and tell us, how does religion come into play in mental health, and how does mental health also come into play when it comes to religion? Where do we draw the line?
Powerful question. I'd like to appreciate all the panelists, the general, and my brother who is into mental health, women reproductive program. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful time. And this is another learning platform for me, where religion has a lot of role to play in mental health. At the same time, understanding mental health, the dynamics of handling mental health issues also has to do with the way we look at religion. Straight sharp, people talk about religion being the opium of the people. I think one area where people have been mostly abused all over the world is in the area of religion. So to those of us who are in the front line, Christian ministry, we face a lot of challenges, barrage, of challenges every day about issues, situations, circumstances, challenges that has to do with, like my brother used the word normative of what should be the ethos, standard of living, ethics, etiquette. How should people behave? When we have people in the church, how should people in the church behave when their behavior is contrary to the faith that they profess? What has happened? So there is a lot of madness, mental health, mental challenges out there in the church. Now, the beautiful side of the religious life, religious side. Now, it does not matter which religion, whether Christian or Muslim or traditional religion, even atheist, it doesn't matter. At one point in life, somebody believes that there's a God out there who answers prayers, and that is how we come to appreciate, faith, religion, and practice, and so on and so forth. So we believe God answers prayers. And that is the essence of people coming to the church to worship, to pray, to seek the face of God. It doesn't matter how and from what perspectives and from what faith, they approach God. Everybody believes that there's a God out there that answers prayers, and people, go to the church, they go to the mosque, they go to various places of worship to worship God, to venerate and things like that. But you see, take me for instance, pastors. One area of mental health that I think going forward you may need also to concentrate on is the ministers of the gospel, ministers of religion. Ministers of religion equally have issues. So if you don't begin from the head, it will be difficult to deal with the bottom or the body itself. Now, because we meander, ministers meander through, challenging. You go, to a wedding ceremony. From wedding ceremony, you go, on a sick call from. So the average, religious professional or practitioner out there is somebody that is, emotionally unstable and imbalanced. So from you, that this thing, so you go through, it's not right, you go through a lot. The general mentions stressors ministry. So more so in the church. People come to the church to pray, to worship. Many come because they want their problems to be solved. So the church has actually become a spiritual clinic where people come, to experience, problem solving, dynamics, different approaches, fasting, prayers, studying the Bible, speaking in tongues, various denominational practices, and all over the world, all over the world, different places you go, West Africa, South Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, Europe, North America, different. It's because people believe through their religion, they are able to relate with the Supreme Being. They're able to relate with God. For us Christians, we're able to relate Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, God the Father. In Islam, in other African traditional religions. So there is so everywhere. People coming to the minister for counseling, the minister himself is not getting himself. So you find somebody who is not well versed in what he does, trying to help. So it's a problem. There's so much, dislocation, disconnect from the reality of what mental health, situation is, and the way to be able to create a balance, a church that, yeah, I am good, I'm fine, and I'm good to go, I am okay. Unfortunately, neither the church to this. Thank God in Europe, in America, there are structured counseling, practices and programs, levels of intervention. In this part of the world, those are, practically absent. So you find the gradient of mental health, challenges higher on this side. Unfortunately, nobody is paying attention to it. And it will continue, to go on like that and on and on and on and on. So to draw the line, I think this kind of intervention and advocacy would need to continue. In our place here, we try to have a structured counseling programs, that helps people at different levels. We have age-graded programs, with different people, different ministers, different professionals to intervene, and create a platform for people to air out, to vent out, to open up. The other day in our place here, we have a secondary school, we have a primary school. Right? What are those things that they are going through? The parents were not there, and we discovered that even some of secondary school students, are threatened. Some of them are being abused. Some of them are going through a lot of dysfunctional behaviors and dislocations. And so the church, the religious side, is that side that has been, mostly guilty and covered so many things up over the years. And I think it's high time we channel our interventions, advocacies, and emphasis and remediation into religious practices, that are creating issues, views, because everybody wants to be spiritual. God's side is spiritual side. Spiritual side is God's side. People, want to feel good, religious experience. But then it more often than not creates add to the problem, of mental health and a problem-solving mechanism that are employed in different religious denominations makes the matter worse. I think both on the part of the government and the church, there's a need for more intervention and structured programs that could really create opportunity for people to hear out and get, heard, and at the same time, get some interventions that we help them. God helping us.
Amen. Amen, sir. you just gladdened my heart with the perspective with which you started from. The fact that ministers, even ministers also need that mental health support. Now, you ended it up by saying that, the church, being everybody, what we all fall back to, needs the collaboration structure, all this, because people are really yearning to know, wow, how will I seek help without my pastor thinking it's on? How will I seek help without, how do I balance this without looking like, oh, I don't no longer trust in God? And as you rightly mentioned, sir, which I'm very, very happy you said this, that both the government and the church, had to really revamp the collaboration and the way that they look at mental health issue. And after this, I would like to even know more about the questions. I mean, the feedback you got from the students and what's in place. Before I go on, sir, in your church, do you have a system in place where you can actually refer people to say, you know what, I think you need to go and see a mental health professional? Do you do that?
Absolutely. You know me quite well. When it comes to issues like that, I don't pretend that I know all things, that I can do everything. It's only God that knows, that is all knowing, and that can do everything. Now, I've had cases of schizophrenia in this place. I've had cases of postpartum, disorders. I've had cases of voice hearing. Hallucination, voice hearing, audible, voice hearing stuffs and things like that. And I've had to refer some to the hospital, some even to see a psychiatrist. And I do that from time to time because, there is a fine line between religion and medicine. And there's a limit. If people don't know their boundary, when you become, jack of all trade, a master of all, you do a lot of damages, you injure people, and you destroy, people's future. So I'm always very conscious of that in this place, and we try to deal with various issues. We have a large congregation, by the grace of God, but not as large as some other, frontline Pentecostal churches, but in our own parish too, quite a bit. And we've had to refer people to see psychiatrists. We've had some to see, medical doctors who can attend to them. Good thing, we have some of our members who work in the psychiatric department in the University College Hospital in Ibadan. So that makes it easy. We are able to identify, by my own training as a counselor, pastoral counselor, secular counselor, a clinical psychologist. It was very easy for me, quite easy to be able to know, when things are not just right, when I could see some, zigzagging, incoherency, and stuff like that. Of recent, I have to refer a case of onset of, dementia. And I'm like, look, this individual is not coherent. It's not something is wrong, and this is a medical situation. And the person have to be helped. Now, again, there is this fear of stigmatization, in the church, in the society, that people, the moment they heard of psychiatric hospitals, like, something is wrong in the head and things like that. So there is that fear of stigmatization, but then that should not stop us from actually, recognizing that, look, this is not a kind of, this is beyond spirituality, it's beyond, praise the Lord, hallelujah. This situation will need an intervention, and we have been able to, by the grace of God, helped, so many people, come out of that situation. especially in the case of schizophrenia, and the individual will not like to accept, the situation, and where they accept, they will not like the idea of, be on medication for a lifetime or for a long period of time. So you have to take them through various stages of counseling, situation, to let them know that, look, it's like just eating your food. It's like taking your meal. This is just like taking a mineral supplement. It's nothing. It's just to keep you, healthy, fine, and well. And we have seen many people, help through this intervention and emphasis and advocacies. And in our church, we have, every month, once in a month, we have health talks. And I think we should make mental health, a major subject of intervention, and then also bring you online, probably once in a quarter to the whole congregation to treat some certain, perceived issues that we help our people, to get better.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. I'm glad you spoke to, you answered that question that way, because I have other spiritual, religious leaders watching and that will watch, and I'm glad that I have you here showing or telling this kind of example that other leaders can and should follow. So we are gradually getting to the end of the session. We haven't heard much from our barrister, the legal perspective. So I would ask you a question now, but as he's answering, I want all my other panelists to please get ready to tell us what other leaders in your position should do, what you would recommend that they should do to really support increasing mental health awareness and reducing the stigma that mental illnesses is currently facing. So please, let's start getting ready for that. So my barrister, we need to hear the legal perspective. Anything legal, the law, to me, it is a major stressor. For whatever perspective, either for child custody or divorce or even getting the land, whatever it is, the law to me just rings the stress bell. As far as mental health is concerned, sir, Barrister Adegbite, how does the legal perspective and mental health really come to place? What should the legal practitioner, from the legal perspective, how does mental health become relevant? Barrister Adegbite, can you hear me, sir? Okay, I think we have, sir? Okay. Okay, let me bring Chief Ladipo in. Oh, okay.
I think I heard your question.
Okay, sir.
But before I respond to that, let me all appointments of the internet connectivity from my hand. First, it was my laptop, my device, that gave me some issues. Later, when I was able to resolve that, the internet started its own. And I think you are here.
We can hear you now. You can go ahead.
Having said that,
yes, sir.
Let me quickly respond to the legal perspective. Okay, the legal perspectives on mental health in Nigeria. Okay, maybe the legal framework on mental health in Nigeria. Unfortunately, there is not much, because we know that even people living with mental health issues, they are human beings and they deserve human dignity. They have human rights. But the question is, how does the law protect them, specifically protecting them, apart from the general human rights provisions that we have for people generally? So, but people living with mental health issues, they have some peculiarities that the law has to specifically taken care of. And that's where the problem is. The state of law in Nigeria on that, as we speak, is not anything to write home about. It's not encouraging at all, because unfortunately, it is the same old law, the law we inherited from from our colonial master, that we still have. And of course, that law is outdated, is archaic, is not in line with international practices and standards on the treatment and care of mentally ill persons. So that's one major issue. The law that we have as I speak, the Lunacy Act, which started as Lunacy Ordinance of in 1916 and then graduated to Lunacy Act of 1958. It is the same law that we still have. You can imagine how many years old that law is and how things have changed, even human rights. In 1958 to date, human rights has not stood in the same position. Human rights has grown globally, but rights of with mental health issues have not moved with time. And that is why even in Nigeria till date, you still come across how people treat people living with mental health and sickness. People have, people still live in the past, essentially. They have a lot of superstitious attack, and most times they take them to spiritual homes for treatment. And in the name of treating these people, they vow there to protect them. I know practitioners and mental health, they have been agitating for legal change in legal regime in that regard. And I know as far back as 2003, mental health bill was introduced in the National Assembly. But as we speak, this is 2021, that law has not been passed. It has not been passed. In fact, it has been abandoned, and another law has been resurrected. That is Mental Health and Substance Abuse Act and bill. That one is also before the National Assembly. It has not been passed. So the summary is that the legal regime, the legal framework for the treatment of mentally challenged people in Nigeria does not meet international expectations in any way, and that is right. And treatment of people living with mental health has not changed, and that is unfortunate.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Like you said, a lot of my colleagues in Nigeria, they're doing their best to get all these bills passed and do something. And this is where leadership comes into play. And I will be bringing Chief Ladipo on now, talking about politics, talking about leadership, talking about policy making. When we have leaders who do not value or understand the importance of mental health, you see how the population suffered, how we have to deal with all these consequences, even as a professional. What we're doing now is part of the advocacy, and I hope that everybody is listening. Thank you for bringing this to the spotlight, sir, about how far behind at least Nigeria is when it comes to the issue of mental health policy. Thank you very much, Barrister. So now this is the point where I want each of us to address the likes of us. Chief Ladipo, I'll bring you in now. As a political leader, as an expert, as a leader in the military, what should other leaders know? Because you know a lot, and you all, everybody that I'm privileged to have on this panel, you are all shakers and movers where you are. And when you speak, your people listen to you. Please, what should other leaders like you know, and what should they do to help increase mental health awareness, to help decrease mental illness stigma, and to actually help all of us collectively be able to live in a safer environment that boosts our mental health? Sir, you go first.
Yeah, thank you. So I will stick with mental health as it affects soldiers. I will let my co-panelists handle the general population as mental health affects them. And I want to focus on the Nigerian soldiers right now because we have a war going on in Nigeria, especially in the north. And I just want the general population to know that to know what the soldiers are going through, so that the policymakers can address those issues and can look out for those issues and address those issues as we go on. These people, these soldiers in the front line, before they deploy to Borno or wherever they are fighting, they had to have gone through rigorous training, high impact training. As we say in the military, you train as you fight. They have been training as they will be fighting. And once the training is done, they don't get to go back home to for a long period of time. They go straight into battle. Even if they just came back from battle 2 months ago and they're going back, that's refresher training that they have to take to go back, which is also high impact. So they go to war, and these people are human beings. Human beings. If you kill a fellow human being, you know, there's a feeling, that comes over you at night. Once all the adrenaline is done of you being, under gunfire, once all of that is dead, the gunfire is cooled off, and you're by yourself, you start to think about that soul that was walking only a few minutes before you gunned him or her down, and that has something. It takes a lot of toll on you that you killed a fellow human being, especially if you're a person of faith. People of faith still have to go to war, and then you kill a fellow human being. You can pray for that person. You can beg God you can atone for what you did, but it still dwells in you. Or you see somebody, your friend, standing by you in the foxhole whose head just got blown off and there's blood all over you. You don't get over that easily. Or you are, downrange. When we say downrange is when we are at war. You are downrange and you leave your children at home with your wife, and you're downrange for like 4 months. Before you went downrange, you were a part of the house. You were probably taking your kids to school while your wife went to work. You were probably helping to take the trash out. You were probably helping to mow the lawn or do whatever. So while you were gone, your wife assumed all this responsibility. She's probably now going to the bank, cashing checks, buying food stuff, cooking and everything. You come back and you feel like nobody needs you anymore. You're just going to save Nigeria from burning, and you come back and your wife doesn't really need you to do anything. You start to want to take charge, and nobody has taught you that this is something that takes incremental steps. And now you start to have, butt heads with your spouse at home, and it escalates because any little thing that can trigger what you would face in war is a mental issue. You've already had the stress that's built up in you, and then you have those that come back and realize, oh my God, their wives are pregnant. Maybe not pregnant by someone else, maybe just infidelity. Period. And the savings all gone. All the money you earned while you were at war is all spent on jewelry or whatnot. Those are the kinds of issues that these guys bring back while they're down there, the things they love to do, drink cognac, that they like to do, they can't drink while they're downrange. Have a woman, they can't do that while they're at war. If they are stressed, they don't have loved ones nearby. You send somebody to Jigawa State who is from River State, there's no support system for that person. And this goes, you can extrapolate that for even civilians. You have a bus driver, for example, who is driving a luxurious bus from Ibadan to Maiduguri, who's going to be gone for a week and a half, and come back and turn around and go again. It's a lot of stressors on that road as they go, and if we have a society as we do in Nigeria, where you can't just walk, you can't just walk in and say, I need my mental health, examined. Or somebody just says, like the Reverend has the privilege of being able to do in his parish. Not many employers, are trained to recognize that or give room for that kind of a thing. And not many people can afford it. So you have a lot of walking time bombs, going around. When you go to a place, when you're traveling and you come to a scene of an accident, sometimes I ask myself, how did this happen? I mean, it's clear this is not a good place for this kind of thing to happen. Why didn't the driver see this? But you never know what's going on in people's minds, what's driving them. So our policymakers, they have to pay the kind of attention they pay to maternity issues. Oh, we have this maternity hospital for women to have babies. We have this cancer center for men to go for prostate cancer. There should be regular, there should be facilities for folks to go for regular checkups, for regular mental checkups. In the armed forces that I work for, we have that in abundance. Still, we have mental issues. Still, we have people killing themselves. What I will do now that it's come up in my head is reach out to some of my friends in the Nigerian military and invite some of them, who are high enough to be able to come and learn something here, and probably take it to the service if they don't have it. I'm not deep enough into the operations in terms of medical care for our soldiers in Nigeria. I'm just extrapolating for the society. I know what the society has will be reflected, or what society does not have will be reflected in what the military does not have. So it'd be a good thing for us to be able to come here and learn. Somebody goes downrange, and I will say this again, you go downrange and you kill somebody, or you see somebody killed, it takes a lot of toll on you. And then you go back. Some of these people have been going back to Borno State or any of these flashpoints, multiple times. It takes a toll on you. Okay. So what I will ask of leaders is to continue to put the brake in. I don't want to go too deep into this, because for you to be able to have multiple rotations, when I say rotations for combat, is you have the need for 100,000 soldiers to maintain activity in, say, Boko Haram enclave. You have the need for 100,000 soldiers. Do you want to keep all your 100,000 soldiers there for a year? No, you have to bring them back after maybe 2 to 3 months, but keep another 100,000 there. So do we have that kind of capacity to maintain 100,000 soldiers in Boko Haram fight in Nigeria? No, maybe we don't. Maybe we need to hire more soldiers, So maybe we need to, invest in other kinds of equipment that can sustain the battle while the human beings are back and keep the enemies, on their toes. Some of these things are the things that, leaders in the military have to think about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And I would remind you that you said you will bring more leaders to help, because even one person, I talk about the power of one. When one person, particularly someone in a leadership position, has this understanding, they're able to make difference that will impact many lives. And I want to bring something, I want to quickly say something about the examples you've given us. You talked about the stress that, you know, the stressor of going to work, coming back, and everything that comes with that for a soldier. But I want to also, you know, say something about those that are left behind. Like you mentioned about the spouses, like you mentioned, you know, you didn't really talk about the children. The children of those that are going to war, they are going to school, their parents are missing when it comes to PTA meetings and everything, and they have to grow up and look for somebody to fill in the space of their dad or their mom who is gone to the military to serve their country. And they also have to deal with that absence as they're growing up. So when we grow up, you know, all those things is it's who we become. So that's a major point that we should also look into for in the military to see how we would take care and recognize the needs of the spouses and the children that are being left behind when their parents are in active duty. So thank you very much for bringing that.
Can I say one thing real quickly, please? When
Yes.
I said the military in Nigeria, I want to add folks like the customs, folks like the immigration, you know, even the police officers, you know, all these people that carry weapons that go away from home and stay in the bushes for long periods of time, you know, they all face the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you for outlining. So now the same question to my boss, Mr. Neo Joalakwe, about, you know, what should other leaders in your position know? How can they help when it comes to increasing mental health awareness, decreasing mental health stigma, and creating an enabling environment? Maybe you should also speak to the workplace here for people in the workplace, this mental health and leadership. You, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure we can actually exhaust all the things that we need to say around this topic, because I see around it a life cycle thing which is all encompassing. As a matter of fact, when the pastor was talking the other time and he was saying, oh, when you see somebody and you see that the person is hearing extra noise or something like that, they know. I remember when I was young, if my mother just slapped me once, I will be hearing extra. I'll be hearing extra, I'll be seeing double. So maybe as at that time, maybe they have mental health issues even at that time, because things happen. Now that's just on the lighter note. But you see, I talked about the issue of reproductive health, especially for women. It's one thing that we can still, which is more complex, which you have not dealt with, which is behavioral, is the issue of gender-based violence and the patriarchy in our society, which actually fuels the incidence of gender-based violence. Many people don't even know that they are being harassed, they are being sexually harassed, or they are going through some form of violence. Now, I want to see that a rape is a mental health issue. Let's now isolate rape as just one example of gender-based violence or sexual violence. It is just taking that one. You know, rape is a mental health issue. And if we see it from that perspective, okay, for example, you see in the Bible actually has we recall the case, I think in 2 Samuel, about Tamar. And this guy called Amnon, or somebody like Amnon, who went to rape his half sister. They are children of the same father. It's David's. Tamar is David's daughter. This Amnon is also David. So he did everything Everything he did, he was cunning. Then he also had collaborators with him. And then he went in to this girl who is his half sister, and he raped her. The Bible says that immediately after he raped the girl, he hated her. That's a mental health issue. You were loving so much just now, so much so that you decided, you went all the way to rape, and immediately after, he changed. So it's a mental health issue. Before that, I think maybe 2 or 3 chapters before that in the Bible, his father also raped Bathsheba. But in our society, we don't even see it as rape. When you have power, you need to understand power dynamics and patriarchy, which I'm talking about. So for us to realize that it wasn't just adultery that was committed by David when he called the woman and saw the Bathsheba, called her and slept with her and sent the husband to the war front so that he will die. The woman did not have any option at that time but to just own up to the king who wanted to sleep with her. That is rape. And you see, that's why his children also were trying to rape themselves. But I believe that's it. So it's a societal thing which needs special attention. It affects the society at large. As a matter of fact, the rape that occurred between Amnon and Tamar also led to so many things within the society, children killing themselves and all of that. We might not see it as that right now, but I can tell you there's a mental health, it's a state of the mental health of the boy who wanted to sleep with that girl at that point in time. So if that had been stopped, maybe many things would have been stopped. And I see that it is unsustainable to continue to say we'll be treating it just like the Orange Support Center that I mentioned just now. We provide support for victims, but they are already victims before we provide the support for them. So how do we stop it from happening in the forces? And that's why we need to talk to leaders for everybody to understand rape and domestic violence and sexual and gender-based violence for what they are, and to actually try as much as possible to stop it. On a bigger note, I know that our time is fast spent. I will just say that technology should work towards having a vaccine against gender-based violence. We can do it if we actually put our mind to it, so that very early in life, just like we have vaccine for COVID now, just like we have vaccine for measles very early in life, if everybody has a vaccine that will stop them from the incidence of from the proclivity towards gender-based violence, towards rape, towards sexual harassment, it will enable our society to go forward. And you see, what rape does, what sexual or gender-based violence does, is that it affects the psyche of the victims. And so you have another raft of mental health issues that grows from that. And if you look at the effect on the larger society, it's such that the women cannot achieve their full potentials. And even the men who perpetrate this, they also want to say they feel strong, and then they go to find another victim, and it continues, and that's a problem. So governments, our leaders at every level should take this for what it is. In the church, for example, I know that what will be done when they find out that one small girl just got pregnant, a teenager, is that let us just cover it, let us pray for them, let us do this. That's a way of solving it. That actually does not solve it. It actually exacerbates it in the course of time. All of this put together, it's like I've put problems on the table, but then it is when we see it from that aspect that we can know that there are certain actions that we can take in order to stop it, so that we don't see the full effect on the society. The full effect on the society is such that, for example, when you have teenage pregnancy, you have children, bearing children, they cannot parent the children, they cannot take care of them. So there is a societal problem that comes out of it that we will have to break it at some point in time. Our leaders need to recognize this issue for what it is and take every action, and do everything possible to stop that cycle. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Again, that is a very sensitive topic. I hope that leaders are, I believe leaders are listening, and this conversation or discussion will trigger, all leaders thinking of what can we do. And if we can nip it in the bud, like you said, we don't have to be dealing with more victims coming on board. Thank you, sir. So I will quickly ask, or I'll go this way. I'm going to ask Barrister Adegbite to tell us what, the issue with the legal aspect is so clear. I would like him to tell us what legal leaders and policymakers should do to really make progress when it comes to mental health policies. And then I would go to our pastor, and I want everybody to get ready to tell us one thing that they do to boost their mental health as we wrap up the program. Thank you, sir. So Barrister Adegbite, what should other leaders in the legal field know and do to help us? Can you unmute, sir?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I think I'm already unmuted.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Are you hearing me?
Yes. Yes, sir. Okay. All right. I'll go to we can hear him. So I'll bring my reverend in and let him tell us what other spiritual leaders, religious leaders should know. How can they help us? And we'll bring Barrister Adegbite back in.
And robust discussion. I appreciate all of you, General and my brother and everyone. Thank you so much. See, there's a problem. There's a problem. You can't take it. It's obvious that with all the, index of good living. Now, when you do a checklist of what are those things that makes for a good living, that can make someone to live a healthy and good life. Let's start from there. That is completely absent in our own climate. Now, look at our infrastructure. Look at the healthcare delivery. Look at roads. Look at energy, electricity. Now, I am running on diesel generator right now. Okay? Otherwise, I would not be on this platform. Now, look at our security. Look at insurgency. Look at kidnapping. Look at banditry. Now, look at hoodlums and area boys. Now, look at the environmental pollution and degradation that we are going through. Look at the joblessness and youthful restiveness. See what is happening in the southeast now. See what is happening in the south-south. They are burning police stations almost every day. People are sick. We are sick in this place. Now, and you can just conclude by saying this is just the amphitheater, of mental health issues, and in different shades and versions. So it's a complex situation. The general, has been able to, identify, especially zeroing on the military and paramilitary, and the fact that do we have that kind of procedure? Where we have such procedure, are those procedures being implemented? Now, and all these things, they have spiraling effect on the society. Who bears the brunt? At the end of the day, everyday people, everyday individuals. So it's a big problem that will require, as we mentioned the other time, collaboration at both ends. All the candles must be lighted, and at both ends too. faith-based organizations, faith people, churches, mosques, traditionalists, everyone, government, civil government, federal, state, and also local government. There must be that collaboration that people will need to do to be able to ameliorate this problem of mental health, issues. And we need to bring all ministers on board. All pastors must be on board. The leagues of imams must be on board. All the traditionalists, all of them must be on board. This idea of, a quick fix, shortcuts to, attending to mental health issues, it compounds the problem, add more, to the problems, and the streets are just littered, with people who are just sick and not getting themselves. Now, we talk about suicide. The other day, people killing themselves. We see that happening here. People attempting all kind of, suicide, suicidal thoughts, depression. Look at the economic situation in our own country. Look at the micro, macro, economic A to Z. People don't have money. There's no money. So people have to struggle. They don't get reward for their services. There is frustration, everywhere. People are not getting it. And all these things, they spiral, into the mind, into the brain, blues, here and there. So I think there's need for more collaboration. We need to bring more people, on board. We need more networking, ministerial networking. I'm talking of, pastoral, networking now. Bring more people, on board to look at some of these issues and see how we can proactively, engage. I don't even know if the word proactive, is the right word, because the situation is already bad. So we are only reacting to the what do you call it now? The manifestation, the presentation of mental, challenges that people are having. So how we can react, we can respond, positively, to be able to create an enabling environment for people to live in Ibadan. Where I am now, the most thriving business in Ibadan, in Oyo State now, is joints. Joints, beer parlors, hangouts, clubs. We have more red light places, in the town now, because people are frustrated. They just want to hear out. They want to go out. They want just to free up their mind, to be able to get their sanity. And of course, people are faith people. They go to the church. They come to the church. They come to sing in the choir. They come to serve in the church. They come to worship God. And we do well enough in this place to make sure that our church environment is clean, is attractive, is worshipful. We, bring in a lot of technological, technology into it, and a lot of, musical equipments, create opportunity for people, to do one thing or the other engagements, to be able to, express, creating expression, and to avoid unnecessary, bottlenecking, bottle up, and, being muted. People don't have voice. People want to hear out, and nobody's listening to them. So I think a lot of collaboration is very, very important, and it's going to be some interfaith, based collaboration, some, within faith collaboration, and then some governmental collaboration, some non-governmental organization collaborations, and more of advocacy and emphasis on the fact that a drastic disease requires some drastic, cure, and provision of more counseling interventions and counseling centers, giving people opportunity to express themselves, to speak out, to speak up, and to avoid being victims of, abuses, afflictions, oppressions, and things like that. And this is very, 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 very important, so that people can be actively engaged and be useful, and they can fulfill their purpose while they're here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. So interfaith collaboration, more advocacy, intervention, even in our religious institutions and organizations, I think it will go a very, very long way. Uh, and I saw Chief Ladipo, anything Ibadan, he gets very excited. I know. I saw
Oh, he's another guy. Kini so. Oh my God, Kini so.
So.
So thank you, sir. So my last question for everyone now, I would ask, as Barrister Digbite would answer, which would be, what do you do personally to boost your mental health, sir? What do you do? And you all can also briefly touch, what legal leaders should know and do to help us. And then you tell us what you do personally. Everybody will tell us that, and then we'll wrap up.
Well, the internet network has been most unfair to me. Now, what we need to do, I think number one thing is for everybody, every stakeholder in mental health, to ensure that the legal framework is reformed. The new law before the National Assembly should be passed, and advocacy should be driven to that effect. Nothing, we can't afford to achieve anything less. This law is long overdue. The way things are now is that there is no law in that sector, which is very bad, because we know mental health is a serious issue now in Nigeria. It's all over the country. Referent has mentioned how we now have centers and joints all over the places, especially in Ibadan. And it's not only Ibadan, it's almost everywhere throughout the country. People need to enjoy themselves to remove the stress, the tension, the joblessness, and the frustration in terms of even the way things are, in terms of the governance as well in the country. So, but for myself, yes, I try to remove, I don't allow issues to disturb my mind unnecessarily. And they even keep offenses. Yes. So when people offend, even before you ask for forgiveness, I forgive you, so that I can keep myself mentally sane. And in my profession, what we need most is that mental stability. You are mentally unstable, you're out of. So I don't want to be, I'm still young. I have young children to cater for. So my family needs me much more now. I need to be mentally stable. So I'm quite conscious of that. And I do everything possible to keep my mental health. And I know we are religious people, so I also pray to be mentally stable as well.
Good. Thank you, sir. So, Chief Ladipo, what do you do on a regular basis for your mental health?
Well, even if I didn't want to do anything, the government does something for me. That is continuous assessment by my boss, my subordinates, my peers on a regular basis. Is part of our training to look for the signs that something is wrong with somebody that you've been working in close contact with, especially after serious stressful missions. But on a personal note, I'm generally a fun-loving guy. The things that interest me are very simple things like driving. It's a relaxing thing for me to just get in the car and go to the next country over. Even when I was in Ghana, I was going to Nigeria a lot, just driving by myself. I will be stressless until I go to Seme Republic, up to Seme, and from Seme to Ibadan, 12 hours, and that will be a lot of wahala for me. So, but here in Europe, it's not all that. I can get in the car and drive from here to Frankfurt, and 5 hours I'm there, and it's all easy. I play Sunday a lot, and it relaxes me. I listen to everything about it. It relaxes me, and I don't want to be on your show and be pushing alcohol consumption, but I'll go after what the Reverend has said, and what Barrister Debita also has said, that there are many joints now in Ibadan for people to relax. It's a good thing, if you're staying home and there's no electricity, you need to be out, there and have fun in a reasonable way, without hurting other people, without hurting yourself. Don't drink and drive. All those things are there. Get somebody who is a designated driver if you want to go out and have fun, and don't expose yourself to too much risk. So I do those things. I relax and enjoy myself. I think once you start to look at yourself as once you start to get weighed down by problems, because I tell myself every day that there are going to be issues today at work or at home or in the street. There are going to be issues today. There were issues yesterday. There were issues the day before. So there's always going to be tomorrow. So nothing bothers me so much that I will be stressed. Nothing. So I've seen the worst kinds of things. I'm in Vienna. There's no better place to be right now. I can compare that to Mosul in Iraq, compared to Baghdad in Iraq, compared to Kabul in Afghanistan. I am living life. So nothing stresses me right now.
Okay. But
I don't want to diminish what regular folks are feeling. I'm lucky. I have a paycheck coming in. I don't have to be stressed about that. There are people who don't have a job, who go out to these joints that we're talking about just to kill, temporarily suspend the stressors in their lives. So, I don't take those kinds of things lightly. There are people that are battling debilitating diseases that would, now cause them some mental illnesses on top of that. So, Reverend and his people continue to pray for them, and Mrs. Adeyemo, you will continue to treat them as a come, and I will just continue to hope for the best for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. My boss, Mr. Niyo Jolape. So what do you do on a regular basis? What do you do daily to boost your mental health?
Yes, very, very simple and straightforward. I touch base with family, friends, and colleagues. I call, I speak with, I know the person that I will talk to who will make me laugh. I know the person that I'll talk to who will always just be encouraging me with the stories and all of that. I touch base with that, with family, friends, and colleagues. And also, I enjoy going to church. Beyond going to church to pray and ask for things, when you go to church, you have the opportunity of singing and dancing. That's an encourager for me. That's a motivation for me to go to church. And then, like the Bible says that the joy of the Lord is my strength. The fact that you go to church, your pastor will tell you to do this and that. I see you succeeding. I see you strengthening up. That alone gives people hope. And I think that works on my emotion. I've tuned my mind to believe it. And so it works on my emotion. It enables me to face the next week. Very, very confidently. Then at least once in a week, I find time to go out. There is a place here which is an outdoor setting. We do karaoke. I meet with friends. We talk, we chat. So and I have that feeling all the time that I can't come and kill myself. Let me just try and enjoy. So I do all of that, and then it makes me feel good. That in a way I think that keeps my mental health balanced in some way. And then see, there is no, if you invite me to your party, I will go there. I attend social events a lot. If there's a party to go to, there's something to go to, listen to people when people are talking, you will see me there. It matters to my mental health. I know I do it consciously to be there. So once there is a whistle that there is something doing, please expect me. You will see me there. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we are having our Zoom party on Saturday. Please don't miss it, okay? And one thing I also learned from you while working with you is when we go somewhere, you don't want to get there late. And one thing you said one day that we got to an event early, and then most of us that went with you sat at the back. And then you asked, what's the point of getting to an event early and sitting at the back when you can stay in front and be involved? Since that day, anytime that I get anywhere, at least when I get there early, I don't take the back seat anymore. I try to find a place, wherever I can and get involved. So yes, thank you for teaching me that, and I'm glad you do that. So now I will end this with my reverend, my spiritual leader, and ask what he does as a spiritual leader to maintain or keep his mental health on a daily basis. And then I'll just wrap up with a short note for everyone.
Well, thank you very much, and regards to everyone out there. I'm a very lively, lovely person. I have a very exciting personality, and I interact with people on daily basis across board. I relate with everyone almost equally. The children, the youth, the teenagers, the elderly people. I have people around me every time. That keeps me, sane. Then, by the grace of God, I am a composer, a music composer. I'm a good singer and a powerful, very, very powerful worship leader, by the grace of God. So for a singer, a music person, even if you want to think, one line of music, one, note will just cross your mind and you begin to write songs. Like during the COVID-19 lockdown, I composed about 76, new songs and choruses, and all of them were performed in the church. So that keeps me. Then when I sense pressure, I delegate. I delegate effectively when I sense pressures. And being a full-time pastor of over 30 years, I enjoy praying and I read a lot. My foremost hobby is actually reading and writing. So I balance up, and then I exercise when I have to, and I take time to rest. I rest, even though I don't rest enough, but at least I keep my mind, high up there, and then I enjoy fellowshipping in the spirit. And I'm a church person. Church is my life, and I enjoy reading the Word of God, reading the Bible, and receiving fresh inspiration and from the Lord. From time to time, the Bible speaks, and I enjoy that. Preaching, teaching. Church life is wonderful, and it's beautiful, and especially when you witness, when you see people's life transformed. This is what I do, every now and then, and I see results. So when you see results for what you do, you are excited, and you are kept afloating, and you keep moving on. And I'm a family man. I'm extremely domestic. I love my kids. I love my wife, and each time I'm home, I am home. When I'm home, I am like them. My children are my best friends, and I enjoy them. We jump on each other. We share everything. Since I'm a musician, my children are also into music. So, and some of them instrumentalists, good instrumentalists. So we sing a lot in my family, and that when King Saul was having mental health issues those days, they easily identified the young David, who comes in to play the harp for him. So music is medicine for the soul, and that makes it easier for us to keep moving on and enjoying, ourselves and living healthy. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. You together, you all highlighted all the basic things that we need to stay mentally healthy. And I'm glad you brought out all that: exercise, driving. I know that Uncle Ladipo, he travels a lot. He listens to music, like he says. I see that. My reverend, yes, he composes. He, the song like he did one, I think 2 Christmases away. We had, we kept playing it. I have it on my phone. My boss talked about hope. When you go to church and we give hope, even when we see our patients and I'm doing medication management or therapy, part of it, you borrow the hope and it gives you something to look forward to. Dancing. I didn't hear anybody talk about that. Oh, okay. Mr. Nee talked about
sorry,
that.
Ms. Adiemo, I
Yes.
didn't mention it. Sorry to interject. But for COVID, I go on leave too. I go on vacation every year.
Yes. Yes.
Vacation, I travel out and then relax with my friends out there. And
Yes.
that makes a lot of sense, that rejuvenating.
Yes, that's true. You do that. I mean, I'm sure everybody that I have on my panel, you don't joke with vacations. Chief Ladipo too, he does not joke with vacation, all my birthdays. But thank God that you all have the privilege, you all have the means, you have everything, the information to do all those things. But for so many people who do not have the privilege or the opportunity or the means to do all those things, it doesn't have to be at a large scale. Everything starts with us just understanding and acknowledging that our mental health matters and we should just do something about it. So exercising. And something that Mr. Nee mentioned again is contacting, staying in touch with people. This goes a long way. And he said he stays in touch with people who helps his mental health. So he will call somebody that can encourage him, not people that will let him down. We can make that choice. So on this note, I want to say a big thank you to all my panelists. It's a pity that Barrister Davidson is not able to, the internet did not really help. But I want to say a very big thank you to all my panelists. It is such a privilege to have you on this platform, to have you in my Mental Health Matters group. And I am confident that you are helping us with advocacy, with awareness, and reaching out to the people that are at the same level with you to tell them about mental health. So I am really, really thankful to everyone. So thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure I will still bring you individually as we talk about all the topics. You've all brought out so many interesting topics that we need to talk more about. And I will still be coming to you to help me even on maybe smaller scale with other leaders that want to implement something about mental health, or or maybe on a larger scale, even in the group, so that you're able to help us with this advocacy. We all have that power to make a change. I am thankful you are all using it, and for making time out to be here today. I really appreciate you all. Thank you, sirs. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Okay.
Thank you very much. I look forward to the women's panel in 2 days' time.
Yes, that will be another interesting session. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, so to all our viewers, thank you for watching. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for the questions. I'm sure our panelists will look at all the questions and respond when they are a chance to, but it's evening where they all are, and I wish you all a good night, and we look forward to seeing you all on the women's panel as well. Have a good night. Bye for now.